A strong northwest wind is howling over the foothills, perhaps a factor today for the CFL's tiny perfect quarterback. This is the game the Calgary Stampeders never wanted to play. They complained long and hard when they lost the first-place bye to the final under the league's new 14 playoff format in the West. But to a man, they're not complaining anymore. They want to play this weekend. It's better than sitting around and stewing about their dreadful loss last weekend to Edmonton. And they're going to try to make good against a BC team that's been blown out the past 2 weeks, 118 points against. They're led by a quarterback with a lot to prove. Danny Barrett had a great 8-2 beginning to this season, but the second half has been a disaster. He's been booed out of Vancouver, and by his own admission, he gets too uptight when he plays his old team, the Calgary Stampeders. Half of Danny Barrett's 12 interceptions this year have come against the Calgary Stampeders. By contrast, the Stamps' Dave Sapunjas plays his best football against the BC Lions, but he missed practice yesterday because he's suffering from the flu. The Stamps hope their go-to man can beat that bug and have a big game here in this West semifinal. Well, for their thoughts on this football game, let's go to the broadcast booth now and welcome Chris Cuthbert and Dan Kepley.
Mark, if Dave Sapunjas isn't feeling very good, he won't get any sympathy from the BC Lions defense because Sapunjas left the Lions defense with that sick feeling most of the year.
Well, as Mark said, since he's become the go-to guy, he's accepted that responsibility very well. And Doug Flutie has found it very fitting to go to him often, particularly against the BC defense. They have been known with Dave Ritchie's defense to be a very aggressive, very intimidating style. They play a lot of man-to-man. I expect BC to play a lot of zone today to try to take away some of that success that Dave Sapunjas has had against them.
Yep, the Stampeders have been to the last 2 Grey Cups, so it might surprise the BC Lions actually have more playoff experience.
Well, they certainly do, and it's led by a playoff experience in the middle. James West, he really is the pulse of this BC defense, not only the defense, but the team itself. And if the rest of the team today can play up to the level and the intensity of James West, this is going to be a very competitive football game.
There was an intriguing matchup last year in the Grey Cup final. Doug Flutie on one side, James West on the other. West hopes for better results at McMahon today. Mark?
Well, Chris, batten down the hatches. There's a wind warning in effect in southern Alberta. Gusts expected as high as 70 kilometers per hour. Passing will be a challenge. Our kickoff is next.
It's the game Calgary didn't want to play. Calgary, the team BC didn't want to face, but the Stamps and Lions are set to clash at McMahon for a chance to play again next week. Dave Ritchie's Lions lost all 3 regular season games, but he reminded us with Ottawa last year, Ottawa beat Hamilton 3 straight times and then lost to the Tiger Cats in the playoffs as they did earlier this afternoon once again. Wally Buono coached with Ritchie 4 years in Montreal, and yesterday when we talked to Wally, he gave us the impression that he's happy the playoffs are here, and I think his team is happy that they finally can get on with the postseason.
Well, initially, I don't think his feelings were that he did not want to play this semifinal game. But in a sense, the way that this team has played the last 3 weeks, losing 2 of those 3 games, now he really feels that this semi game is going to be a game that they can sharpen their edge and get ready, hopefully, for the final.
And the Lions will receive and have the wind in the opening quarter. Freeman Basinger has the football at his 25, and Basinger across the 40, up near the 45-yard line. And so a good field position start for the BC Lions as Danny Barrett leads the offense onto the field. Dave Ritchie says that Barrett has to play the biggest game of his life for the Lions to win today. He put up good numbers in 3 games against his former club, 906 yards, 6 touchdowns, but as Mark mentioned, half of his interception total this year came in games against his old team.
First and 10 BC from its own
Dave Ritchie talking yesterday about wanting Barrett to be calm in action today. There's Robert Mims, and he is the starting running back for the Lions today. John Volpe hurt earlier this season. Corey Philpott, the number 2 running back, hurt, but they've got a guy who's rushed for over 1,000 yards twice in his CFL career in Mims with Millington. The receiving core is without Matt Clark today, and there is a veteran offensive line that has been called at times the best in the CFL, but has been under the gun in recent weeks.
The pressure is on these guys right there up front to protect Danny Barrett today. Rise to this challenge against the Calgary defense.
Barrett on second down, throwing in the flat for his fullback Millington. Incomplete. Looked like the ball sailed on a very windy day at McMahon.
Well, it's going to take him a while now because he is going with the wind to try to get his tempo down and try to get the feel of that ball, of how it's going to, the trajectory once it leaves his hand. It's up to Danny Barrett right now to keep this Calgary defense off balance, mix it up, try to run the ball a little bit, throw the ball short, take exactly what this Calgary defense will give him early, so that their best defense, obviously, against Doug Flutie, is to keep him off the field.
Third down, Louis Pisaglia with the wind at his back, kicking to Derek Crawford and Brian Wiggins. Louis averaged 39.8 yards a punt this season. Not that deep with the wind, but he gets a good bounce, and it's Wiggins inside his 15, almost lost the football, and great downfield coverage by an inspired Lions team. 49-yard punt, and no yards on the return. Here comes Doug Flutie. He passed for close to 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns against BC. And even worse news for the Lions, he's a bit upset after being held to just 89 yards passing against Edmonton last week.
Well, against Edmonton once, he lost 2 games out of the last 3. He has not been as sharp as he normally has been through the course of the season. So he comes in here on a mission with something to prove, not only to himself, but to the rest of his team and the people out in the stands.
First down, play action, the bootleg, and Flutie across the 20-yard line, and he steps out at the 27. Dave Ritchie told us yesterday, I think they're going to try and establish a run against us early, and Flutie does run for the first down on the opening play. It's a 12-yard pickup. Flutie with McVeigh and Tony Stewart in the backfield, replacing the injured Keevan Jenkins. Great receiving core. Crawford with 1,000 yards. So was Moore and Sapungis and Wiggins in just a half season, well over 800 yards, and an offensive line anchored by the second-year man, Bruce Coverton. So it's a first down for Flutie and the Stampeders, working against the wind at their own 28-yard line. There's Tony Stewart, and he's stopped in the backfield by Glenn Scribner. And Scribner's had quite a year, led all Canadian defensive linemen this year with 10 sacks, and as a tackle for a loss on that play, Scribner with McCready and John McNeil replaces the injured Kent Warnock. O.J. Brigance with 20 sacks on the year. We've talked about James West and the other great veteran, Tyrone Jones. And the defensive backfield, the corners, Andre Francis, Les Brown, 19 years experience between them. The question is, can those inside guys handle the slot backs of Calgary? 2nd and 13 for the Stampeders. Flutie and Les Brown with the defensive play on Derek Crawford, and Brown almost had a shot at that ball.
Well, I think, Chris, you hit it exactly on the nail on the head at the last comment. The two outside guys, Brown and Francis, will play extremely well. These are veteran guys that they know the routes and they know their abilities. The only question about the BC secondary is at the halfback position, and can those halfbacks get some help by Europe to safety?
Stampeders won the toss and deferred to the second half. I think a break for BC that they start with the wind at their back in the first quarter. A team that struggled in the last two games, I think needs to get off to a good start here. Here's Basinger across midfield. Flags are down. So is Basinger at the 53-yard line. And another late flag comes down, so we'll have two penalties to sort out.
34-yard punt into the wind by Tony Martin.
And the referee for this afternoon's Western Semi here in Calgary is Ken Lazarus.
Ron Johnson, number 51, and Ken Watson, number 33, downfield for the tackle.
I think we're going to get blocking from the rear. It looked like number 13. That's Tom Europe, the safety.
Last time these two teams met, the end result was a brawl at the end of the game.
Legal block, BC number 13, 10-yard penalty for point possession gain, first down.
Tom Europe called on that illegal block, and that was the only flag. Apparently, that late flag was for the same infraction. But these two teams don't like each other, and there's going to be a lot of talking on the field today, even if the Lions didn't do much talking to the press this week.
You know that old cliche, there's no love lost. I'm trying to figure out, is there ever love gained by two teams that hate each other like this? But there is nothing lost out here, and they're going to leave it all on the field for 60 minutes today.
Danny Barrett, play action in the flat, again looking for Millington, and it's incomplete. Carl Anthony from his quarterback position, and we'll set the Stampeders defense for you. That is working against Danny Barrett and the Lions this afternoon. Harold Hasselback's had a great year. Will Johnson, a perennial sack leader. And the linebacking core as good as Calgary has ever had with Finley, Pope, and Johnson. Anthony and Greg Eaglin are the corners. Kenton Leonard, Gerald Vaughn, speedy inside guys, and Greg Knox in his second year at safety has had a fine season. 2nd and 10, Lions at their 39. Barrett over the middle, Trevathan complete, but he'll be short of the first down. Marvin Pope, Big Daddy in the middle with the tackle.
And the tackle by Marvin
Situation that Calgary obviously wants to keep Danny Barrett in all day long. 2nd and long, it allows them then to play a nice soft zone behind it. There you see Trevathan coming over the middle. They're knowing their zone. They're going to force him to throw the ball in front of the yard markers. Come up there, Pope, Big Daddy comes up, makes the tackle, short of the first down, makes BC have to punt the ball away.
Pope yesterday talked about his respect for Trevathan, who's back in the Lions lineup after an injury kept him out a couple of weeks. This is Wiggins from his 20, and again a great downfield coverage from the Lions, limiting the gain to just 3 yards. We're early first quarter at McMahon.
Welcome back to McMahon Stadium. You're looking at footage from September 18th as Doug Flutie was drilled out of bounds and into the timers table here at McMahon Stadium. Suffice to say, there is bad blood between these two teams. This was the brawl that took place at halftime. 5 players were ejected from this game. George Hopkins, the equipment manager for the Calgary Stampeders, at the center of that fracas when he got talking a little bit too big to one of the BC Lion players. We'll see who does the talking and who walks the talk in this game this afternoon.
Wally Bono advised Hopkins to get a helmet ready for this game. Here's Andy McVeigh, the gain up the middle.
That's the perfect example of what happens when you have a bad hair day.
Tackled by Zoc Allen, number 44 on the line.
Well, that final meeting was 40-21 in favor of Calgary. They haven't met since September 18th. The other two games, 35-30 at McMahon and a 34-20 victory for the Stampeders at BC Place. Gain of 4 for McVeigh, so 2nd and 6, and Flutie with the quarterback draw to the 30, and he takes quite a hit shy of the first down.
Doug Flutie, the ball carrier for the Stampeders.
James West was there, and he has a few words for
James West.
Flutie after the tackle.
Initiating contact.
As we talked earlier, this is a trash-talking defense. They get out there, they get in your face, and there's some guys out there. They walk the talk, as Mark said earlier. And when you come up there, what you're trying to do with this intimidation, you're trying to take the guys off their game just a little bit. And if West can do that and still perform the way he does, it's to the advantage of the BC defense.
You saw Kelly Sims also in on that last tackle. The deep back is known as a punishing hitter. So Tony Martino's second punt of the game. That's a beauty into what we thought was a stiff breeze. Basinger flagged down. Basinger stopped at the 31. It looks like no yards, but that was a heck of a kick by Martino. 53 yards, and it looks like into the teeth of a pretty stiff wind.
Right dead into the teeth of that wind. And when you're hustling down on the coverage team, you're trying to work extremely hard. You're not anticipating that ball traveling that far, and that's why the no yards penalty will take place.
Tony.
No yards. Calgary number 6. 5-yard penalty. Decline. First down, BC.
Talked to Tony yesterday, a little upset that the net punting average went way down after last week's game in Edmonton when Gizmo Williams ran the 2 long punt returns back for touchdowns. But what a kick by Martino here in the first quarter.
As in the case of that game, this game also, you get offense, defense, and the third phase. Special teams are going to be very, very important today.
Lions looking for their initial first down of the game, and here's the reverse. It's Basinger. Not fooled by Alondra Johnson, who made the tackle and limits the game to just 3 on the play. Looked like Basinger had some room before Johnson closed it off.
This BC offense coming in is a very hard team to defense again because everything is possible. They can let out all the ends and means that they want to do, all the trick plays that they want to do. There is no rhyme or reason. There is no pattern today. They have to do something to keep this Calgary defense off balance.
Second and close to 7. Alondra Johnson led the Stamps in tackles this year. Danny Barrett with time. Has a receiver, Ray Alexander, at the 51-yard line, knocked out by Carl Anthony at the Stampeder bench. But Danny Barrett has his first down of the game.
Danny Barrett, when he has this kind of time, he has to move the pocket out, but when he has this kind of time to throw the ball, the end results are going to be very positive for the BC team. Ray Alexander does an excellent job of going down just a simple out pattern, but he creates enough separation on his comeback after he makes his break back toward Danny Barrett to pick up that reception.
Early points at Commonwealth where the two teams have traded field goals. We'll keep you updated. Here's Spencer McLennan with a catch down to the Calgary 35-yard line. Kemp, this is amazing. McLennan with his first catch of 93 as he starts at the slot back in place of the injured Matt Clark.
Spencer has been noted for his special team work. He's noted as a safety, but not as a slot back. So here it comes. It's a wobbly pass, but what Spencer does, he's able to get down behind the linebackers, find the soft spot in the zone, and then he's able to hit him in stride.
The electrician from Kelowna with a big catch. And the Lions on the move. Here's Mims. Not much there.
Mims, the ball carrier for BC. No gain on the play.
Robert Mims getting a chance. Twice led the CFL in rushing. In fact, in 91, over 1,700 yards rushing, and Will Johnson's heated up early.
Will Johnson will need to stay heated up. He's got to get a lot of outside pressure on Danny Barrett and get up in his face. Will Johnson, somewhat suspect for this game, pulled a hamstring in the Edmonton game last week, but he shows no ill effects out there in the early part of this ball game.
No gain for Mims, 2nd and 10. Barrett flushed out of the pocket. Steps out at the 30-yard line, and he'll be short of a first down. And Danny with that trademark smile.
He certainly does. He's got that big, ultra-bright smile on his face when he comes in, because he's smart, too. He's looking down. He's seeing Alondra Johnson coming to chase him down. A.J. with tremendous speed as a linebacker, good angle on it. He's not going to challenge A.J. at all. He takes it out of bounds very quickly.
Lions open the scoring in each of the 3 regular season games. Now we've got a problem here on a fake. No, Pasaglia went to the bench, and Darren Flutie drops the football. the sidelines as if something was wrong, and instead of going for what should have been a sure 3 points, the gadget play goes for naught.
As I said earlier, you cannot go to sleep at any point in time of this ball game if you're Calgary. What they had to do is go out there. They got Louis going to the sidelines, and then they tried to mess up the...
Well, Kemp, they faked me out, but they didn't fake out the Calgary Stampeders on that Louis Bisaglia play.
No, I think the awareness of this team, it's a very veteran ball club over here. Wally's got them very much prepared to look at any kind of razzle-dazzle. Louis going over like he forgot his tee, like he was going to check out something with Coach Ritchie, and then they tried to do the fake, but Calgary was all over that.
Lions looking for a quick start, and kind of surprised they don't go for the easy 3, but instead it's Doug Flutie and the Stampeders on offense. A little dump pass over the middle to the running back, Tony Stewart. Near the 40-yard line, Stewart has a gain of about 6 yards.
Some of the success that they had against Edmonton last week was getting Stewart involved in the passing game, waggling up to the line of scrimmage, and at the last minute just releasing him short underneath the zone, and having that BC defense have to react to it and come up and make the tackle one-on-one against a very good running back in Stewart.
Stewart, one of the bright spots in the Stampeders' loss last week in Edmonton. Now Flutie rolls to the right side. He'll keep it, has a first down, and Flutie's out at the Lion bench near the 52-yard line. Doug ran for 155 yards against the BC Lions in 3 games this year, and he's off and running in this first quarter.
Pat Storm, the big guard, pulls out in front, and it didn't take Doug very long to make the decision that he was going to run this, and it wasn't going to be pass. It's run all the way as soon as that ball gets tucked underneath his arm. His head gets pointed down the field, and he picks up a big first down.
At the 51 of Calgary, first down, and Flutie changing his call at the line. In the right flat, Will Moore, flag goes down. Moore steps out after a short gain.
Watch for offensive pass interference. A pick play from the outside as Will Moore was on the inside slide. He came on the inside, broke to the out, and I think the outside receiver came in and really made a rub on the halfback, which was Sims.
Fourth pass interference. Calgary number 86, 10-yard penalty. First down repeated.
Pee-wee Smith, the culprit. And they march it
10-yard
back
penalty makes it first and 20, Calgary.
to the Calgary 41. Interesting comment from Doug Flutie yesterday. He said, you know, it's not really the game plan that is important. It's how we adjust to what we see the Lions defense is doing early. And right now, they're into that cat and mouse game. Flutie on first down is going to run again, and the hook slide across the 45, and they get the late hit. And a flag down. Flutie sliding feet first, and he took a hit from James West, and that will draw the penalty.
Major ball, unnecessary roughness. BC number 56, 15-yard penalty. First down, Calgary.
Dave Ritchie wants his team to play aggressively, but it's a penalty that Lions can't afford to take.
It's an uncalled for penalty, particularly with a guy that's got the experience of James West.
36 years of age, a couple of great cup rings, and it gives the Stampeders a first down in Lions territory at the 49. Pitch to Stewart. He cuts it back. Down to about the 43 for Stewart, and a gain of close to 6. Derek Greer came up from his inside halfback position to help out on the tackle.
This is a talented front seven of BC's defense. Very aggressive, got to have a lot of team speed. That has not been their problem this year. Their problem has come in the back end somewhat. So running the ball against this defense is still going to be a very tough task.
They give Stewart 7, 2nd and 3, Stampeders. Quick pass over the middle, incomplete. Kelly Sims got his hand on the football, and Dave Sapungis was the intended receiver, but so far the Lions, through the opening 11 minutes, have been able to contain public enemy number 1 in BC.
Good read by the Sponge this time. Both linebackers, Wes and Zach Allen, blitz out of the middle. His responsibility and read is to replace them, hard break inside. But Kelly Sims did an excellent job of coming over the top, getting a hand on it, deflecting that pass away.
We saw Mark McLaughlin kicking field goals against the wind of about 45 yards, but from the 42, they've elected to punt, and Martino kicks it, bouncing in front of Basinger, who takes it and has it at the 10-yard line. No flag. And that's where the Lions will put the ball in play.
We're back at McMahon Stadium. Well, you've heard the movie Sleepless in Seattle. How about Sleepless in Vancouver and Calgary? These two coaches admitting they've been up to the late hours preparing for this game. Dave Ritchie saying he's worked till 4 o'clock in the morning almost every day this week. And Wally Buono saying he's had maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night because he's been getting up at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning because he's all raring to hit the books and the playbooks getting ready for this football game. Chris?
Yeah, Dave Ritchie was asked if the pressure was off the Lions. He said, no, I'm staying up till 4 in the morning because I feel the pressure to put a better effort on than we've seen in the last 2 weeks. So far, it's paid off. Barrett looking for Alexander, but he throws it into the Lions bench, incomplete.
Then he came out just a 2-step drop, and he wanted to release the ball quickly. Good coverage in the Calgary defense secondary. Forced him to have to pull it down, and then Johnson got right in his face, and all Danny did was air it out so that he could get another snap and make it 2nd and 10.
Eric Johnson had a couple of sacks on Barrett during the regular season. Great rookie year. A lot of talk about how Danny gets pumped up too much for games against Calgary, but he looks relaxed so far. 2nd and 10. Not anymore. Picked up. Zizakovic. Touchdown, Calgary. Harold Hasselback made the hit, and his defensive tackle partner picked it off. 2nd interception of the year for Zizakovic, and he has a touchdown.
The wonderful thing about the Calgary team is the fact that all phases have worked together to help in a winning cause. When the offense has sputtered, defensively, they've come up big with big turnovers and big points on the board, as they just did to help motivate that offense.
Mark McLaughlin for the point after. Bad snap, but it's placed well by Maroff, and McLaughlin puts it through. And Sreko Zizakovic celebrates his first touchdown in the playoffs, and let's have a look.
That's Hasselback against Sinclair. Just a one-on-one block, and Danny knows that if he's going to take the 3-step drop, he's got to get rid of it quickly. Hasselback comes in there, just a great shot on Danny Barrett. And then Zizakovic with good hands looked that ball in, thinking about lateral on it, broke the plane of the goal line, was given the touchdown for 6.
Yeah, he was going to give it to Will Johnson, said, nah, don't get many chances like that. I'm going to put it in.
Probably good thing that he didn't, because it would have been then a forward lateral. Then there would probably been a penalty, and it would have got backed up probably 10 or 15 yards.
I mentioned the bad snap may have something to do with this injury to the center, Doug Davies, who's had a fine year for Calgary. And this is a concern for the Stampeders. He's their long snapper. Jamie Crysdale may have to be called upon if this injury to Doug Davies is serious. There is Crysdale. 2 minutes, 20 seconds to go, first quarter. And for the first time between these two teams this year, the Stampeders have opened the scoring.
Well, when you make mention about being a long snapper, sometimes a lot of people think, well, that's not, anybody can just go out there and snap. But being a long snapper, both on punts and on extra points, it is an art form, and you have to practice and practice. And these guys, particularly in field goal situations, have worked together as a trio for a number of years. And in any point in time, when one part of that unit is gone, it takes a lot to overcome a replacement guy that goes in there.
as well as Robert Mims, 33, and Tom Gerber.
So the defense creates the first points of this Western semifinal, and McLaughlin kicks it off. Freeman Basinger, the former Sacramento gold miner, picks his way across the 40 up to the 43.
With a 17-yard return off of 50-yard.
Chris, an update from the other Western semifinal at Edmonton, where the Eskimos have jumped into a first quarter lead. This is Damon Allen looking downfield for one of his favorite targets. Number 4, downtown Eddie Brown into the end zone on a 16-yard touchdown pass. Is 10-3 Edmonton in the first quarter.
And Mark will keep you updated on the other semi and Commonwealth throughout the afternoon. Here the home team leads by a touchdown. Barrett first down, looking for Trevathan, and Matt Finley was all over him. And who had some unkind words for some of the fickle fans here in Calgary this week, who were upset with the way the Stampeders played last week. And Finley with a good defensive play here.
It certainly has. He's been a mainstay of this Calgary defense. You know, when you have that empty backfield set, no backs in the backfield, Danny Barrett with a two-step drop, everybody reacts. He knows he's got to release it quickly, and Matt Finley did exactly that.
Said to Matt yesterday, you concerned the way you finished the year? He said, no. He said, we've been waiting for a month and a half to play this game. 2nd and 10, Barrett rolling, looking deep. Darren Flutie streaking down the sidelines. It's picked off. Kent Leonard has the football, and he apparently was down at the 21.
Danny Barrett moving to his left, didn't have the ability to get his shoulders really turned to get enough on the ball that he wanted to. Didn't get that left shoulder pointed downfield. This is exactly playbook type defense. Kenton Leonard stride for stride. Darren Flutie looks back for the ball and gets a shot right there by Danny Barrett. Eric Johnson in his fate. But Kenton Leonard, as soon as Flutie looks back for the ball, Leonard looks back, comes up with the big pick.
Calgary on offense, and Doug Davies will snap the ball. The center back for the Stampeders, and Flutie on the bootleg again, trying to get outside, and he is crunched. Flutie was really hammered. Stampeders back on the ball, but how's Flutie? Bruce Cumberton, the big tuna, got back on the ball, and he's a resilient guy. Flutie took quite a hit, though.
Take a look at all the years that we've seen him play, either down south and up here for a couple years. I have never seen Doug Flutie take a shot like this. Sims comes in, boom, just levels him right in the chest. But the big tuna's having nothing to do with it. That's not throwing chum in the water. The big fish got a hold of that thing. But then Doug Flutie, to his credit, jumped right off of the field, up and down, back into the huddle.
2nd and a pair, and McVeigh up the middle has the first down and a lot more. Tom Europe, the safety, with the tackle. And Andy celebrating because his U of T Blues are going to the Vanier Cup.
Against the University of Calgary.
Yeah. There was an effigy of
7 yards for McVeigh.
Andy McVeigh in a U of T uniform yesterday, hanging in the Calgary locker room, courtesy of Rocco Romano, who is a graduate of Concordia, but McVeigh got the last laugh. Here's Stewart, nice cut back, and he's up to the 45-yard line. And again, the safety, Tom Europe, with the tackle. That's the final play of the first quarter. Defense scoring the touchdown. And Calgary with a 7-point lead. A couple of high-powered offenses on the field this afternoon. And what happens in the first quarter? The defense gets the only touchdown. Sreko Zizakovic. And how about Doug Flutie's numbers? You'd hardly expect Calgary to be ahead when Doug Flutie goes a quarter and goes 1 for 3 for 6 yards. But he did rush for 42.
Give a lot of credit to the BC defense that came out. They have mixed up their coverages. They've got some heat on Doug Flutie a bit with their up front 4 guys. They played good zone behind it, and they forced Doug Flutie to have to run the ball.
2nd down and a couple. McVeigh again. And he's close to the first down.
For the Stampeders.
And let's check the numbers through 15 minutes of this Western semifinal at McMahon. And the net yards favoring the Calgary Stampeders by 20. but unusually, it's all been done on the ground.
To be this close and BC having turned the ball over probably already 3 times, as it said on those
First and
stats.
10 at the Calgary 48.
First down for Calgary at the 48-yard line, and they take too long to get that one in play.
Time confirmation. Calgary number 20, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Something that you don't see Doug Flutie do very often. It's very uncharacteristic of him, and that tells me right now that that BC defense is making some movements and some adjustments that have a little bit of confusion for that quarterback.
Here's John Hufnagel, who sends in plays from the bench. So it's first and 15 for Calgary. Flutie sets up looking for some punches, and he can't hang on. Hit by safety Tom Europe, who's off to a great start, the rookie out of Bishops. They haven't been able to hook up Flutie and Sapunjas so far.
A bread and butter play from Flutie to Sapunjas all year long. Looks hard left, trying to get Europe to safety to favor that side, and then he comes back to the slot, running straight up the seam. He's not able to hit him. Europe makes a good play right at the last minute to try to get in front of that ball and knock it away.
Europe's been on the hot seat since Sean Footie, an all-Canadian type safety, went down early. And here's a pass for Will Moore. Incomplete, and it'll be 2 and out for the Stampeders now, and they'll have to kick on third down.
Third down.
So the Lions obviously have given Flutie a different look to start this football game.
Talking to Joe Powell before the game, the one thing that he wanted to see Danny Barrett and his offense do was the fact to go out there, nickel and dime this Calgary defense to death. Use Mims in any way you can. Run the ball a little bit, dump short to him sometimes, but stay on the field, move the chains, pick up some first downs.
Raymond Basinger. Short gain on the return.
5-yard return.
41-yard Martino punt, 5 yards on the return. Trying to get a gauge on this win based on production of the kickers, and that was a kick 12 yards shorter by Martino with the win. So maybe it's more a crosswind.
First and 10 Lions at the BC 32.
This is Skip Breeze here at McMahon this afternoon. Otherwise, pretty nice day for football in the middle of November. Pitch out to Robert Mims. And nothing doing. Marvin Pope was waiting in the hole. So was Eric Johnson. The number 1 defense against the run, and they have been since 91, was inserted at middle linebacker.
You see, right there's some hesitation by Mims, and you just can't do that. You've got to be able to pick your spot, take a seam, and then you've got to go straight ahead, because the minute you hesitate, this Calgary defense has got great team speed, and they will smother you with gang tackling.
They give Mims a couple, so it's 2nd and 8 BC. Barrett looking downfield. Mims got caught up with Matt Finley and kind of broke off the pattern, and it falls incomplete.
Third down.
Mims probably not the receiving threat out of the backfield that a Corey Philpott or John Volpe would have been.
Not at all, but they do have to get him out there, and they've got to get him early some success as far as trying to get that matchup. If Calgary can feel very comfortable that they can go out there and they can cover him with a Matt Finley or an Alondro Johnson one-on-one, that allows their defense a lot of flexibility to do some other things against Danny Barrett.
Derek Crawford is the lone man back for Calgary on third down, and Pasaglia in. Low kick, bouncing, and that hit Crawford. That's a free ball, although flags come down, so the officials don't see it that way. BC on the football, but it clearly looked like it went off the foot of Derek Crawford and should be a free ball.
And it is time for one of these refs to step up and make a very serious call right now. And that was not the call, I don't think, to be made.
Boy, the Lions, or the Stamps, get a break here. It's a 53-yard punt. But more importantly, it could have been BC Lion football.
No yards. BC 59. 5 penalty for point possession gain. First down.
We've got 12:03 to go. First quarter, first half, and the Lions trailing by a touchdown. That's Glenn Johnson, the field judge, and kept on a second look. He made the right call. It did hit Derek Crawford's
foot. It certainly
foot.
did. Take a good look at this as we go. The ball is right here. Now watch it. It's going to hit his foot. Now as we let it run, buddy, if you will. There, it hits right there. Now look at the distance here between that. It's only 4 yards, so the BC player was within the zone, so it was an accurate call.
First down at the 29 for Calgary, and a pass knocked down by Tyrone Jones. Back in the lineup for BC, a couple of sore knees, but Jones comes up with a big defensive play.
Ty means a lot to this BC defense. Not only is he very vocal and he's very verbal, but he goes out there and he does give you 100% effort. I don't think Ty is probably as efficient as he once was a couple of years ago, but he certainly has the experience that he can get out there and help this BC defense.
10-year veteran Ty Jones, and Calgary's offense has been stymied so far. 2nd and 10. Flutie out in the flat, almost picked off the hands of Dave Zabungus.
Number 25, incomplete. Tom Europe, number 13.
And again, a punting situation for the Stamps as Doug Flutie hasn't solved the puzzle yet.
This is a couple of weeks in a row that Doug Flutie has had some problems executing balls that had normally have been easy pitch and catches during the course of the season. Again, it's a credit to this BC defense. They are doing a few things in the back end that are giving some trouble and some confusion to Doug's reads.
Flutie has missed on his last 5 attempts. Oh, Martino booms one. What a punt. What a punt. Facing her, and it's going to go out at the 3-yard line. Wow. 78 yards for Tony Martino. That's his longest of the season.
And as I said earlier, this Calgary defense has played extremely well at scoring points. Now the specialty team rises up to the occasions and does something big to try to help the whole offensive team a little bit with some momentum, driving BC deep into their own zone and see what they can do.
And kept the last time BC was this deep, the defense came up with a big play and created the touchdown. Barrett looking deep. Looking for Darren Flutie, and he's got it in front of the Calgary bench. So after the punt by Martino, the Lions answer right back.
Just shows you the quality and the strength of Danny Barrett's arm. Most quarterbacks, and a lot of times when they're going to throw the ball that deep, they're going to sprint to the right where they can get the momentum going. Right-handed quarterbacks like to. This was sprint out to Danny Barrett's left, and then he aired it out. Knox, the safety, was a little slow getting over there, but granted, to his defense, Knox had to cover a lot of ground to get over all the way from the middle safety to the sideline.
45 yards the pickup for the unheralded Flutie brother. And here's Millington out of the backfield, and he's chased down by Alondra Johnson after a pickup of close to 8.
Chris Moore scoring in Edmonton. Lucius Floyd here taking a handoff from Damon Allen deep in Saskatchewan territory. Cuts it straight up the middle for a touchdown. 3 yards, making it 17-3. Eskimos. Dave Ridgway has just kicked a 38-yard field goal to make it 17-6 Edmonton in the second quarter.
Looks like Lucius has been taking lessons from Gizmo.
Well, I gave Lucius a hard time. The last time I saw him do that we did a game, they were losing 28-7 against Winnipeg, and I said there was no need for that time. He's got plenty of reasons to do his flip now.
2nd and short for BC, and Marvin Pope comes up with the tackle to make it 3rd down.
Big Daddy at 6'1", 254, just absolutely patrols the inside between the tackles. Great speed, good acceleration, makes the tackle short of the first down, or they're making the mark. And oh, they did get it. I take that back.
Yeah, apparently Ryan Hansen did just get enough.
It is a BC first down.
A little surprised at that score from up in Commonwealth, Kip, because a lot of people thought Saskatchewan was peaking at the right time, but then again, the Eskimos have won 5 in a row, 9 of 12.
They've won 5 in a row, and they progressively look better and better each of those games. So it was going to be certainly a good matchup.
Back to Darren Flutie again. He's working against Greg Eaglin. And they're going to spot it at the 43-yard line, and that will be a gain of 8 to 9 yards for Flutie, who had a 1,000-yard season, and Eaglin will have his hands full this afternoon.
This is Eaglin's 3rd game back. Played a number of games, about 9, I think, as the starter for Hamilton. Came in here when Douglas Kraft, the corner at that time, dislocated his toe on the last play of a game here, and he just hasn't been able to push off of it, and Greg Eaglin has really jumped in there and played extremely well.
Ryan Hansen spun out the first tackle and will have the first down at the Calgary 40. So the BC Lions, with a drive that started at their own 3-yard line, are now approaching scoring distance with 8:37 on the clock running here in the second quarter, down by a touchdown. But Kep, I guess the biggest question was, what Lions team are we going to see today? We're not seeing the one that played the last 2 weeks. First down, and Barrett rolling to his right. As a completion, there's Flutie again, and Darren Flutie has been the go-to guy here on this drive.
Flutie takes it to the Calgary 26-yard line. It's a 15-yard gain.
As I said earlier, any time that you give Danny Barrett the corner, look at this, nobody in front of him, no pressure. He's got all day long to get his shoulders squared to the line of scrimmage and look downfield for a number of receivers. Darren Flutie happened to be the one that he wanted to go to. There were 2 other receivers that were open just inside the hash mark.
Joe Powell, the offensive coordinator, looking on as his team is driving. Robert Mims up the middle, and Mims stretching out for a pickup of close to 6 before Will Johnson had him tripped up. Mims 2 games this year. Against Winnipeg he had 77 yards rushing, and against Saskatchewan 53 yards. A rare chance for him, and he wants to make the most of it.
Calgary's defense is noted for getting off the ball extremely quickly and getting upfield. It allows themselves to be vulnerable sometimes to those inside trap plays, as BC just tried to run.
Call it a gain of 5. It's 2nd and 5. And the drop play to Hansen. And Hansen stopped up. Just a couple on the play. Alondra Johnson made the tackle. The outside linebacker covers so much territory.
As Hansen steps back in there, Alondra Johnson's reading him all the way. He's stepping in there for a reason. Had he not going to be able, he would have waggled up a little bit, made a block on the outside. But as long as Hansen stays in there, that's got the complete attention of that man right there, Alondra Johnson. Once he sees the handoff, he does what any good footballer player does. Just react, feel the hole, make the tackle.
So Pasaglia back in, and this time they will try the field goal, you would imagine. And yes, from 25 yards out, Pasaglia is good, and the Lions are on the board with 6:54 to go, first half.
But there's no stopping the Edmonton juggernaut further north here in the Alberta capital. This is Lucius Floyd again, straight up the middle, 15 yards for his 2nd touchdown of the game. The Eskimos now lead the Rough Riders 24-6 in the second quarter.
First down, Calgary, and the pitch out left side. Tony Stewart across the 35. Stewart to the 40, and then he blasted. James West among the tacklers. And now the Lions D will do some talking.
They're just not talking to the press. I can guarantee you they're going to talk to those guys on the Calgary offense. But just take a look at this as Stewart gets outside. Look at the game captain of this BC defense. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hats on that stack right there. And that is the reason that this team is going to be competitive today. They are playing at a much different level than what we've seen the past 2 weeks.
2nd and 5. Flutie trying to get this passing game going. Pressure on from McCready. Now gets it downfield and has a completion to Wilmore. Maybe that'll get Doug Flutie back on track.
Doug Flutie doing absolutely what Doug Flutie does best, making something out of nothing. Again, BC has to be very disciplined to keep Doug Flutie contained. When you don't do that, these receivers downfield know to keep working, work harder, because Doug Flutie will find a way to get the ball into your hands.
So it's first down, Stampeders into Lions territory at the BC 50. And Tony Stewart up the middle has a big gain, close to another first down at the 40. Out of Iowa, the same school that produced Mike Saunders of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Stewart the all-time leading rusher with the Hawkeyes.
Just what they call a search play. They just put the ball deep into Tony Stewart's hands and had him search for the hole. Rocco Romano got a great block on James West in the middle, and that allowed Tony Stewart to pick up additional yardage.
Lions defense ranked 8th against the run this year, and the Stampeders have had success on the ground so far. First down. Flutie double pumps and has an open man. There's Stewart out of the backfield, and he is down to the 13.
Chris, I talked about discipline. You have to not make any mistakes defensively against the Doug Flutie. And here's where the BC defense, the secondary, someone's wrong in the secondary and allows Tony Stewart to be standing wide open over there on the sideline. Even in his zone coverage, somebody has to react quicker to that pass.
Wally Buono said yesterday, one guy on defense makes a mistake and it's a complete defensive breakdown. First down, Stamps threatening. Here's McVeigh out of the backfield. He's stopped up immediately. O.J. Brigance met Andy McVeigh head on. And it's a pickup of 2 or 3 yards for the big fullback.
Good linebacker play by the BC this time. All you do is McVeigh's coming from his right to his left. The linebackers are dropping across, and you just talk it across. Under. And there's O.J. Brigance waiting for the under on the other side. Makes a good, solid tackle.
2nd and 7 for Calgary. Flutie rolling right. Here comes the rush. He gets by Ty Jones. Looking for an open spot in the end zone. Now throwing. Touchdown. Will Moore. Kev, how many steamboats did he get that time?
I tell you what, you only get to see him pass by you one time, so you better take it a little slower. Break down, try to make your tackle, because you're only getting one kick at this cat. Doug Flutie was able to elude Ty Jones. Ty's trying to take his head off, gets around him, buys a little bit more time, and then finds Will Moore in the end zone.
Mark McLaughlin adds the extra point. The Stamps with their first offensive touchdown. Lead by 11. Will Moore had 12 touchdown passes during the regular season, his first in the playoffs.
Doug Flutie just does a great job. Watch out on the left of your screen. He gets even up with Ty Jones. And when you get head up with Ty, that gives Doug Flutie a two-way go. This time he takes it to the left and to the outside. Always the consummate professional as far as looking downfield, looking to throw the ball. And Will Moore's working to get open. Big 6 points.
McLaughlin kicks it off, and it's Basinger once again. And he submarines up to about the 28-yard line. The Lions offense now must try to answer back with 3.5 minutes to go in the first half, trailing 14-3.
Fairly good numbers for Danny Barrett. The interceptions, obviously, the things that he would like to do without. But the last series of plays that he had a very solid march, running the ball, throwing the ball short, running the ball inside with Mims, and it resulted in 3 points.
Mims the lone setback. And Barrett back to pass with Zizakovic in pursuit, and Barrett will run it out of bounds at the 34.
Ball carrier for the Lions, steps out of bounds at the 34-yard line after a gain of 6.
Last time these two teams met in the playoffs, 91, it was a real shootout, 43-41 in favor of Wally Bono Stampeders, but then he had Danny Barrett at quarterback and Doug Flutie was on the other side.
The roles were absolutely reversed then, and Doug Flutie had to stand on the sidelines and watch as his team drove down the field to Danny Barrett to kick the winning field goals.
2nd and 4, Barrett throwing in the flat. There's Mims, complete, and he didn't step out and gets a few more. Matt Finley on the tackle.
With the reception.
Boy, Mims put the brakes on right on the sideline and picks up the first down. We'll be right back.
We're back at McMahon Stadium in part one of our semifinal Sunday. The Hamilton Tiger Cats defeated the Ottawa Rough Riders 21-10 in the Eastern semifinal. That means the Ticats move on to meet the first place 14-4 Winnipeg Blue Bombers next Sunday in the Eastern final in Winnipeg. In the West, the final could be in one of 3 places, all kinds of possibilities, either Calgary, Edmonton, or Regina, based on the outcomes of the 2 Western semifinals today.
Danny Barrett looking for Darren Flutie, who is all tied up on that protection from Carl Anthony, and it falls incomplete. Darren with 3 catches, 70 yards so far. It's interesting the way Barrett has favored Flutie in the first half, and Flutie has favored Will Moore for Calgary.
25 yards down the field, bro.
Danny Barrett showed again he's got that really strong arm. That throwing that wide side out doesn't affect him at all. But as Flutie came down, Carl Anthony just absolutely leveled him when he started to make his break. Good physical contact, gave him a good jam. BC wanted to flag. Carl just thought it was good defense.
I think we anticipated the wind would be a bigger factor than it has been in the first half. 2nd and 10. Barrett with some time, and now he'll take off. And he's caught from behind by Zizakovic, and Marvin Pope stepped up and nailed Barrett as well, but Danny's smiling at the bottom of the pile.
Well, you know you got to smile a little bit. Danny's obviously, his forte is not taking off on a scramble, but if you go to sleep and forget about it, he can hurt you. But here's the point where he's got a wide open territory, but look at Zizakovic. He catches him from behind. And the only thing that Danny Barrett's going to look ahead to is that's Alondro Johnson and Big Daddy Pope in the middle. So I think he even got the best of it by having Zizakovic tackle him.
And it's a 5-yard gain and 3rd and 5. Exactly in the cut. 2:15 on the clock running in the first half. The Saglia into the breeze. And it's Derek Crawford. No yards again. Kelly Sears there. And the Lions will argue they're giving 3 or 4, but you got to give 5.
I think Sim's argument there was that he had a blocker right on his back that kind of pushed him into it a bit. Obviously, with this wind blowing dead into your face as a coverage guy going down.
First down, Calgary.
Your first initial thing is that you want to get away from the block at the line of scrimmage, and as soon as you make that separation away from the block, you've got to look down and pick up the ball very quickly so that you know your path of where you're going to go, the direction, and how far you need to go.
1st and 10, Stampeders, number 33.
So first down for the Stampeders at their own 33-yard line with a 14-3 lead. Flutie over the middle, and he has a completion again. It's Will Moore. So if Sapunjas isn't open, 82 is right now as they go to the other slot.
Doug with plenty of time to throw the ball, good vision downfield, and Moore did an excellent job working against Derek Greer. Got Derek Greer to turn his back, and as soon as he did, he just made the little hook inside. Doug Flutie hit him right in the hands.
Flutie 6 for 12, 77 yards. Lots of time. And now that sidearm pass complete at the 50-yard line.
Flutie sidearm
Who's got the
Will
football
Moore on the sideline for about a 5-yard gain.
They've taken one slot away in this first half, but not Will Moore.
Doug Flutie looked like a great Tony Fernandez at shortstop, turning over a double play as the base guy was sliding into him. Derek McCready was getting right up in Doug's face, and what he had to do was just throw it at the sidearm position.
Gain of 5.5, so almost 5 on 2nd down needed. Flutie has an open man far side. There's Sapunjas, and he has the catch and is drilled out of bounds, but first down to the Stamps. And that slot machine attack going right now.
Kelly Sims, number 3.
Doug Flutie taking full advantage of the miscues of the BC defense. This time again, O.J. Brigance is going to come inside, allow Doug Flutie to get outside again, and once he gets outside, he buys a lot of time. He puts more pressure on the secondary, and Sapunjas comes up with a big reception.
2-minute offense in effect with 1:34 to go. They're playing hurry up here and pitch and catch back to Sapunjas. And now they're getting this inside passing game established.
But what you're seeing now is that the BC defense is starting to attack a little bit more. I don't know why at this present time, but you get the man-to-man coverage. And once you get that, you see the sponge goes down, puts the hands up, and he pushes off of Greer. That creates a natural separation, and all he has to do is turn. Doug Flutie has to deliver it right before he makes his break, and they have a pitch and catch scenario.
Flutie taking what's given and now takes the ball himself off the right side. It was 2nd and 1, and he'll move the yardsticks with that gain. Sometimes when Flutie is struggling a bit, he just seems to be more effective in this hurry-up offensive set.
Well, he needs any kind of advantage that he can, and that hurry-up offense limits the number of defenses or the kind of defenses that you can play. You have to stay fairly vanilla over there, and Doug's able to take advantage of it.
Here's Derek Crawford, 25, and Crawford chased out by Francis at the 20. I'm sure the Lions thought Crawford caught that ball. And there was some discussion between the officials and the Lions defense, but it's another first down as the Stamps are driving here with 59 seconds to go, first half. Already up 14-3.
Calgary at the BC 19.
Now Sapunjas is the wide man out left side. Shotgun, Flutie, draw play. Up the middle. Doug Flutie down to the 7. Another Calgary first down.
Doug Flutie is one of those guys in crucial situations. He wants the ball. If it's a last-second shot in a basketball game, he wants to be able to take the shot. He wants to do it and take that pressure on himself. As you can see right there, he does it very well.
Well, it took almost a full half for them to really get on track, but now the Calgary offense is on a roll. First and goal from the 7. Flutie looks into the end zone. Almost a great catch. Dave Sapunjas stretched out, but couldn't bring it in.
James Webb did an excellent job of blitzing up the middle, just forced Doug Flutie to throw the ball a little sooner than he wanted to. Sapunjas had made the break on Greer, had enough separation, just couldn't bring in the pass.
Half minute to go. And Flutie coming to the sidelines on a timeout to confer with John Hufnagel.
They're coming back in Edmonton. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are making a comeback in Edmonton. This is Kent Austin fighting running back Bruce Boyko for a touchdown, 13 yards. It's now 24-13 Edmonton nearing the half.
Home field advantage so far has stood up. 2nd and goal from the 7. Empty backfield for the Stampeders. Flutie looks right, now will look left. All kinds of time. Up the middle, and now down he goes. O.J. Brigance, who had 20 sacks during the regular season, 2nd in the league, trips up Doug Flutie.
3rd down.
Doug a little slow getting up, but he's only slow getting up because he's going over the disappointment that he had if he was able to get rid of that one block and that one tackle. O.J.'s able to come up there, and I can tell you, as a linebacker, when you come in and you've got to look one-on-one against a Doug Flutie with lots of pasture on both sides of him, you start to panic just a little bit. O.J. did a great job. You don't want to have to knock his head off. Just be effective. Get him down on the ground somehow, as Brigance did.
McLaughlin with the field goal attempt from the 22 is good. And with 4 seconds to go, Calgary goes up by 14. It's 17-3. well-executed drive, but a moral victory when you get down inside the 10 and you're able to stop Flutie from pushing it in.
There have been a number of moral victories for this BC defense today against Doug Flutie and the Calgary Stampeders. And there's one of the main reasons. Coach Dave Ritchie is very much involved with the defense, calls the defensive signals on the sidelines. And so that's just that added extra responsibility of a head coach. Wally Bono does the same thing for the Calgary Stampeders.
So time for one play from the 35-yard line of the Lions. And it doesn't look like they're going to air it out as Barrett runs it out and puts the knee down.
Danny Barrett rounds the ball to end the first half.
Dave Ritchie sprinted onto the field, and he wants to talk to Ken Lazarick. So there's some hard feelings at the Lion bench as you see Ritchie after Lazarick after 30 minutes. Mark?
17-3 Calgary. Stand by. Scott Oak is next with a report from Hamilton on the East semifinal. Live at the half is next. Welcome back to windblown McMahon Stadium in Calgary, where the Stampeders lead the BC Lions 17-3 at the half. Joining us now is BC coach Dave Ritchie. And Dave, you seem pretty upset there at the half. What was the problem?
Well, officials can't see the ball hit the ground. You gotta be a blind man. That's all I can say. Gotta be a blind man.
Dave, the Lions are 1-7 when they're trailing at the half. This is only 17-3. You can't be worried about this yet.
No, we got to go in and try to get some things straightened away so we can come out and play a little better.
What's your view of the first half and Danny Barrett's performance?
Well, we're behind 17-3. We're just going to have to go back and regroup a little bit and get going.
Any thoughts on making a quarterback change and bringing in McMahon
right now,
out?
no.
All right, thanks for your time, Dave. Dave Ritchie, head coach of the BC Lions at the half. It's 17-3, the Stampeders in front.
Well, an interesting interview with Dave Ritchie, and he was referring, of course, to that Derek Crawford reception, which was on the final drive that we saw hit the ground. I wonder about the mood in the BC Lions dressing room. They're down by 2 touchdowns, but that's the best half of football they've played in a while.
That's a good half of football they played. Coming into after the 2 games that they played previous to this, giving up 118 points, holding Doug Flutie to 17 points right now. It is a moral victory. Now, and they didn't get a break. They didn't get a call. They're 3 points you take away from that hitch screen that they got there. Then at this point, the Calgary defense really came up extremely big, turned the ball over, got a touchdown. So therefore, I think right now, this BC defense has got to be extremely excited, and the offense has got to be excited because they had a couple of really substantial drives against a good, solid Calgary defense.
We've seen this a few times this year. We talk all about Doug Flutie, and then it's the Calgary defense that steals the headlines. Flutie struggled early. We saw Calgary with the turnover and the touchdown, and then bought his quarterback enough time that Flutie got untracked in the second quarter.
Well, Doug Flutie doing exactly what Doug Flutie does best, and again, that's making something out of nothing. Gets the scramble in. Had Tyrone Jones, this is a whole story of ifs. Had he broke down and made the tackle, came under control right there, got up on the upfield shoulder of Doug Flutie, it's a whole different ballgame. He makes the tackle, but Doug is still looking downfield, trying to find something. If not, he can run the ball, but finally at the last minute, he comes up, finds Will Moore, and then they come up with another 6 points.
All right, we're going to take a look at the first half statistics, and they don't really reflect a game that is led by 14 points. And look at the time of possession, dead even, and pretty well most of the stats are pretty close.
Well, you have to look at that. When you go dead even in possessions against the Calgary Stampeders, the big thing there, 3 turnovers from the BC team. That makes the difference because that one of those turnovers converted into 6 points.
Well, let's see if the BC Lions can take that upbeat atmosphere that you forecast in the dressing room and go out and make it a very interesting second half of football. They trail by 14, but have shown at times they can move the football, and the defense has come up with a good afternoon so far. Mark?
Well, Chris, here's an interesting statistic. When the Stampeders have the lead at the half, they are 12-1 this season. Probability is on Calgary's side as they lead the Lions 17-3 heading into the second quarter. Our kickoff is next when we return.
Final Sunday in the CFL. Chris Cuthbert with Dan Kepley and Mark Lee at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, where Doug Flutie and the Calgary Stampeders have a 14-point lead through 30 minutes of football. take a look at how Doug mixed it up in that first half, going 10 of 17 for 120 yards and 1 touchdown. And there are the slot backs with 6 of the 10 catches. Will Moore with 4 and Sapunjas with 2 for 24. And he threw 3 to receivers out of the backfield. Danny Barrett on the other side, 8 for 16, 145 yards. But a couple of interceptions, and Doug Flutie's younger brother turned out to be the favorite receiver for BC.
Certainly has, and those interceptions is the thing that really hurt this BC team. One converted and turned into a touchdown. One was a deep drive that was trying to hit Darren Flutie. But again, this team has got, I still really believe they're very optimistic in that locker room. They're going to come out because they're quite excited. The last field goal was only given to Calgary on a hitch screen, and the ball, I said, may skip the ground. So at 14-3 going in, that's a victory against Calgary Stampeders at the way that the BC teams have played the previous 2 games.
Let's see if they can build on that in the second half. Les Brown, the kick returner for the Lions, and good coverage by Calgary as Brown gets it just to the 35, an 8-yard return after the 48-yard kickoff. Pee Wee Smith, who likes to return kicks himself, with the tackle.
Well, with the way that this wind is blowing, sometimes you may think you made a wrong turn and end up in Regina at Taylor Field, but it is very important that the BC Lions establish, obviously, some points on the board with the win. In the fourth quarter, it will be extremely tough to score going into this.
Strange thing for the Lions, they had more success against the wind in the first half as they tried Mims off the right side. And their first carry was just for 3. Danny Barrett throwing a block on that play.
It shows you what kind of, we spoke earlier about the kind of competitor and the intensity he is. But if I was Coach Ritchie, I'd be whistling out there right now saying, hey, leave that to the guys that get paid to block for a living. You get paid to call the plays and throw the ball.
Maybe he figures if he throws a couple, they'll block just that much harder for him in situations like this. He throws in the flat and has a completion. Mike Trevathan up at midfield and across before Alondra Johnson brings him down. Trevathan, a key man for the Lions all year, and he has been out of the lineup the last couple of weeks. And talking to the Calgary defense yesterday, they have enormous respect for what Trevathan brings to the Lions offense.
As we talked with Big Daddy Pope and Alondra Johnson, they have a lot of respect in the sense that this guy is a gamer. He's going to go out there, he's going to play when he's hurt, and he's going to give you 100% every time he steps on the field.
12 touchdown passes during the season. Flag down as Barrett rolls right, has Darren Flutie complete, cuts back, and Flutie is inside the 40, but let's wait for the flag.
Gerald Bond, number 38.
Yeah, it's going to come back on a procedure call, and Barrett wants to find out who the guilty party was.
Legal procedure. DC number 77. 5-yard penalty. First down repeated.
It was Trevathan. Nevertheless, Barrett looks sharp to start the second half.
Certainly does. Again, you get Trevathan, and this is that timing with those slot backs, like you see the Ray L guards and the Sapunjas as guys trying to time the snap right as they're coming to the line of scrimmage. They get a little bit more momentum. That gives them the advantage against a set halfback.
So it's first down over and 15 for the Lions. Here comes the rush. They dump it off to Millington, and he's down by Pope as he gets near midfield. A pickup of 3 to 4 yards from Millington, who they have not been able to spring loose out of the backfield yet today.
When Danny Barrett had that 601-yard passing game against Toronto, Millington was his key source, and this was the play. Just the dump screen, and that is what they need to do in a sense of being able to slow up that Calgary attack and that rush upfield, get them to pause just a little bit so Danny Barrett can buy some time.
Just a 3-yard gain on the dump pass to Millington. 2nd and 12. Barrett looking downfield. Flutie open, and he's nailed by Greg Knox, the safety, but it's a first down, and Darren Flutie continues to be the most dangerous receiver for the Lions. Boy, both Fluties having a good afternoon.
We'll go, Darren!
And Knox, number 8,
Found
is
out
down on
that
one knee.
Dave Ritchie told his players to emphasize the positive. Even though they're 1-7 when trailing at the half, he reminded them of the time they trailed at the half against Saskatchewan on October the 1st and came back to beat the Rough Riders 50-28. So down by 2 touchdowns, there is still a lot of resolve in this organization.
Greg Knox shaken up after that last hit on Darren Flutie, who had 123 yards in one game receiving against the Stampeders this year. Greg Frères will come in. You have to be named Greg to be a safety here. You got Greg Frères, Greg Knox, and they take the spot of Greg Peterson. I don't know what happened to our spotter, Daryl Moyer.
We took a good look, and then he said, yeah, but my wife's nickname is, her main name is Greg. So it's all in the family.
It's all part of what it takes to be a safety in Calgary. First down, Lions on the move. Barrett over the middle looking for Alexander, and Pope was going the other way, and I think that distracted Big Ray Alexander. So Dave Ritchie took the Dan Kepley approach and accentuated the positive in the dressing room at halftime.
Ball thrown behind Ray Alexander. Matt Finley doing a great job on Ray as far as jamming him at the line of scrimmage, not letting him release downfield.
Marvin Pope comes out in this passing situation, and the extra DB is number 33, Ken Watson. Lions need some early points, third quarter, and they're driving. Barrett, pressure on, throws, it's complete. And Ray Alexander has another first down for the BC Lions. Alexander just played one game during the regular season against Calgary because of a rib problem, but he's a favorite target.
Danny Barrett is standing in there with a tremendous amount of confidence as he's turned around, sprinting out to his left, giving the counter fake inside. Then he's got plenty of time to throw the ball, and he throws the ball before Ray Alexander makes his break. And when he does, he puts it out there on a real rope.
The Lion drive continues. First down at the Calgary 15. Looking in the end zone, and it falls incomplete. Trevathan was in the neighborhood, and Mims was running a pattern downfield and was bumped out of bounds, and that's why Dave Ritchie is reacting as he is.
He's reacting to the fact that they had the matchup he wanted. He had Mims against Matt Finley, and Finley hits him and knocks Mims out of bounds right at the goal line while the ball's still in the air. You get no call.
Second down. And 10 from the 15. Empty set, 6 receivers out. Barrett in the flat, complete. That's Spencer McLennan, and he is knocked out at the 9, and McLennan is short of a first down.
16, Spencer McLennan.
It'll be third down and 5.
By Alondra Johnson, number 51.
Good block on the outside by Jim Mills to tackle the spring. Danny Barrett allows him to get outside. And Calgary doing an excellent job of playing a really strong zone and then making them throw short of the first down marker and then reacting up and making that tackle.
Dave Ritchie liked what he saw in that opening drive of the second half, and Passaglia now in to attempt a 15-yard field goal. Flutie the holder. Matt Clark the snapper. And Passaglia puts it through, so the Lions close the gap here early third quarter. We'll keep you posted on the other Western semifinal going on at Commonwealth. They've started the third quarter 27-13 Eskimos. And here it's an 11-point lead for the home team. Stampeders with their first possession of the second half, and they'll start from their own 35 after the Passaglia field goal and a drive of 4 minutes and 27 seconds by the Lions, resulting in the 3 points.
The best defense that they could possibly play against Doug Flutie is to keep him off the field, as they did.
James West showing blitz. They hand off to Stewart right side, and nothing there. It's closed up immediately. Derek McCready in the pile. And so was John McNeil.
Lions defense led by number 95, John McNeil, and 79.
And McNeil, a native of Massachusetts who watched Doug Flutie play at Boston College. There's the Canadian nose tackle, Derek McCready out of Lachine, Quebec. and Ohio State. 2nd and 8 for the Stampeders, and out of the shotgun, and now Flutie. Bootleg, left side, up to the 45, and Europe trips him up.
Doug Flutie, the ball carrier.
Near a first down. Looks like Flutie just got to the first down marker.
Knocked down by number 13, Tom Europe.
And it's been an active Tom Europe so far today in safety for the Lions.
Fakes the counter trap inside, and then Doug just comes out all by himself on a naked bootleg. Andy McVay does an excellent job of getting Tyrone Jones to break down inside. He baited him down, and then once he did, he sealed off the corner, allowed Doug Flutie to get outside and pick up the first down.
Wally Bono's seen his quarterback take some hits today, and Flutie now with 66 yards rushing. First down, give to Stewart, cut back, and diving for the 50. Tony Stewart with a gain of 5.
When you have a defense like BC that has a lot of team speed and they aggressively pursue you, that is the key to trying to break it, is to cut back across the grain, hit a little seam. Right there you see Tony Stewart come backing in there. And then at that time, if everybody on that defense is not disciplined and staying in their lanes, a big play could result.
8 carries, 43 yards for Stewart. Play action, 2nd and 5, and now Flutie. Off and running to the right, puts the brakes on. Nice move there, and Doug Flutie's into the open field. Finally dragged down by O.J. Brigance, but Doug Flutie looked like O.J. Simpson. He might have fooled you on that move, Kep.
I guarantee he would have fooled me. He'd have left a lot of my apparel hanging up around my neck, I can guarantee you that. But what Doug does so well is that he keeps his feet moving. And as he does, these receivers still know there's more wide open downfield. Doug just didn't have a chance to get the ball to him.
Boy, he is fun to watch.
Andy McVay,
the running back this time for the Stampeders with a short game.
One of the knocks against a very aggressive defense when you go out there, these guys are trying to take people's heads off, but when you have an opportunity to make a tackle on a Doug Flutie, you have to break down, and all you want to do is grab a piece of cloth, get him down to the ground. It may not be pretty, it may not be dramatic, but it is effective as far as making the tackle. If you don't do it, what happened to BC the last time could happen a lot more.
2nd down and 8. Flutie throwing in the flat for Will Moore. Can't hang on. Kelly Sims was in the neighborhood.
Kelly Sims.
And it'll be 3rd down, Stampeders.
It's 3rd down, 8.
Plenty of time. Doug forces the corner, and what he does, just lack of concentration right there on Will Moore. Didn't look the ball completely in. It was an easy pitch and catch.
Tony Martino, number 11, in punt formation for the Stampeders.
So Tony Martino in on 3rd down, and Trevathan is deep near his goal line for BC.
Mike Trevathan back to the line.
Again, it would have been a 48-yard field goal, and against the wind, just apparently out of McLaughlin range this afternoon. We saw Mark making them from around 45 prior to the game. Trevathan takes the bouncing punt, and he is snowed under at about the 8-yard line. So it's an 11-point lead with 6:29 to go, 3rd quarter.
Downfield.
Stadium, Calgary, 17-6 Stampeders.
Chris, I just wanted to take a look. If you see Kent Leonard, he's right down here all by himself. Les Brown had come inside to go on the block, and he was just waving his hands right at the last minute, trying to get Martino's attention. All he had to do was dump the ball out there. That would have been a big play for the Calgary Stampeders.
Right place on the field to try something like that, too. Now, BC backed up over the middle. Ray Alexander, Marvin Pope there to stop Alexander. He'll spot the ball at the 16-yard line, a couple of yards shy of a first.
Good situation with Danny. All he wants to do is pick up a significant amount of yards right now, that he doesn't get into that 2nd and long situation every time against a very potent Calgary defense.
Millington goes in motion to the short side of the field on 2nd and 2, and the pitch goes that way to Mims. piled up, but breaks away. Great play by Robert Mims, a first down and a lot more. Looked like he was tied up before the first down stick, but somehow squirted out.
Give full credit to Robert Mims on his own because it's a toss play. Good pursuit by the Calgary defense. They hit him there a number of times. Nobody locks up. This is the one thing that'll really upset Wally Wono is missed tackles, particularly in crucial situations. But Robert Mims kept his feet motoring and picks up a big first down for the BC offense.
22 yards for 33. He has 36 in the game. A two-time All-Canadian, 90-91 with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. First down and Barrett. Will Johnson is being held by Sean Millington, and the flag comes down, and that will negate this reception by Ray Alexander. You could see Johnson trying to fight off the Millington block, and finally the flag flew.
10-yard penalty, first down.
Will Johnson did a great job that time of maintaining his leverage on the outside. Sean Millington was up in his face, blocking extremely well, but Millington doesn't know where Danny Barrett is right now, and he's holding on to him long enough just at the last minute when he feels Will Johnson trying to slide back down inside to pursue Danny Barrett. He grabs out around the cloth and around the helmet. There's where the flag comes out.
Johnson comes out now, and it's first and 20 for the Lions. Barrett with time over the middle, and he has a completion to Darren Flutie, and Flutie has a 100-yard passing game today and has been a favorite target. Well, let's recap how things have unfolded here this afternoon. To this point in the game, a 5-yard interception by Sreko Zizakovic opened the scoring for the Stampeders in the first quarter. Louis Pasaglia has had a couple of field goals in the game. Another touchdown from Flutie to Will Moore, accounting for the Calgary offense. And here's a pass over the middle and a completion to Ray Alexander.
They're on target again.
Kept in the second half, the Lions have shown an ability to move the football.
Well, they had the ability in the second quarter. They had a significant drive that moved down the field, ended in a field goal, and then they came out doing the same identical things. What they're doing with those wide receivers a lot of times, right? Rather than getting them in a foot race down the field trying to throw deep, they're making the breaks inside and having them run away from the defensive backs. It makes them an easier target to hit.
Don't remember seeing Ray Alexander catch so many over the middle. Here's Barrett, now throwing over the middle again. This one is incomplete. Trevathan was the intended receiver.
Number 77. Ripped out of his hands by Kenny Watson.
And it'll be second down.
Very tough throw for Danny Barrett. Doesn't have his shoulders parallel with the line of scrimmage. He's trying to throw it back into the middle to Trevathan. Calgary playing a fairly soft kind of zone because it was 2nd and 10 at that time. Trevathan's pattern was only at about 7 yards.
You think it's been easier for Barrett to play on the road this week after hearing the boos so often at BC Place? Get that response after this play, 2nd and 10, and the heat on. The intended receiver again, Trevathan, but there's a flag down behind the play because Marvin Pope took a free shot at Danny Barrett.
There is absolutely
Major foul, roughing the passer, Calgary number 91, 15-yard penalty, first down BC.
As I say, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being physical out there, but when you're physical, you also have to be an intelligent ball player. The ball is thrown completely. There's plenty of time for the Big Daddy to pull up, but he just gives Danny Barrett a little shove just to let him know there's some frustration going out there with this Calgary defense right now, but that is a crucial penalty at this point in time of the game.
Penalty takes the ball to the Calgary 43.
3:09 to go, third quarter. And a first down for the Lions. 4 receivers right side. Barrett pulls it down, cuts back, and Stu Laird's got it
pulls it down
at the 39-yard line.
Inside the
Pick up a 4 for Barrett.
Stu Laird, number 75 on the tackle.
Credit the Calgary secondary with excellent coverage downfield. Danny Barrett has nowhere to go. Hasselback comes right at the last minute and gets his hands up in Danny Barrett's face and forces Danny to have to scramble with the ball up the middle. It is definitely conceded the fact that the BC Lions will not beat the Calgary Stampeders by Danny Barrett having to run the ball.
2nd and 6. Stamps look like they're coming, and over the middle, Darren Flutie has it. Flutie inside the 30, steps out at the 26, and it's another first down for Barrett and the Lions.
Whether Calgary plays zone or they play man, they find that the inside routes are extremely successful against the Calgary defense as you get the receivers coming off. Flutie that time broke inside on Ken Watson, and all he has to do is run away from him. You create more cushion, and you give yourself a better target to be thrown at by Danny Barrett.
Both Flutie's been big factors here this afternoon. First down, a dump pass over the middle, and Robert Mims couldn't one-hand it with Marvin Pope in the neighborhood.
I may change that up a little bit as far as short-arming it a bit instead of one-handing it. I think he felt in a sense that he knows that Big Daddy Marvin Pope's in the middle, and if he does, he's going to get stroked. And all he does is he just puts that left hand up at the time. This is a playoff game. You got to go up there aggressively at every play, trying to make something happen.
Marvin Pope has been shaken up. Timeout on the field. We'll be right back. Marvin Pope just up now as he makes his way off the field under his own power.
If you take a look just at the contact right here, his head's down, but that neck of his snaps back very quickly. And that could be one of the situations where we've talked a lot this year about burners, or maybe just having that neck stretched a bit and the nerves in there, and that feeling gets lost in your arm.
Minute 56 to go here in the third quarter. Your thoughts on Barrett playing away from home?
Well, I think it has been very tough for him. He just has not been accepted by the fans in Vancouver, and I think that's a little disrespectful of them. Danny Barrett's a good quarterback, but he came in after Doug Flutie. Had he come in after anybody else, it may have been a different situation.
Here he is, looking deep for Alexander, and Eaglin just got a hand on it. Looked like Alexander had gotten in behind the Stampeder quarterback.
There's more scoring in the second half in Edmonton in the other Western semifinal this afternoon. It's Edmonton again, and it's another connection between David Allen and Eddie Brown here on the corner pattern. A nice touchdown for Brown, his second of the football game. That makes it 37-13 Edmonton in the third quarter. Chris?
Kep, I never would have expected that would have been a blowout one way or the other.
Not at all. I think in this case that Edmonton surely would have wanted BC to win their last game and played BC in BC instead of having to play Saskatchewan. They've done an excellent job so far up there.
And here we've got a close one. Masangli has got him what they need.
Welcome back to McMahon Stadium, where we got a pretty good sibling rivalry going between the Flutie brothers, Doug and Darren, both of them having a pretty good game, and their parents, Richard and Joan, are here. Joan sitting up in owner Larry Rickman's private box away from the elements, and Father Richard down on the sidelines taking some pictures of his son to see you got a BC hat and a Calgary jacket. How do you remain impartial watching your sons play for two different teams, Richard?
I don't know. You root like heck for both of them. That's what we're doing.
What do you think about the play of your son so far?
I think they're both doing a great job today. I wish they'd throw more to Darren, though.
And I guess the tough part about this is that one of your sons goes on and one goes home, and so there's condolences and celebration tonight, I would think, in the Flutie household.
Flutie's pass is complete. Brian
That's true for football playing, but we're going to try to keep whoever loses and continue on to the Grey Cup and hope the other team goes all the way.
All right, we'll let you get back to snapping some good photos on the sidelines. Thanks for your time, Richard.
Thank you.
Chris?
Markey's a great fan, and I don't know, I think that's not a bad call. Keep throwing the ball to Darren because it's been working today. Ryan Wiggins just caught his first pass for the Stampeders, 2nd and 6. And Flutie rolling to the near side. Will Moore, intended receiver, and he goes crashing over the Calgary bench, incomplete. And it's an 8-point deficit, and the BC Lions are going to get the ball right back again. 20 seconds to go, third quarter.
Glenn Scrivener does an excellent job of making Doug Flutie have to pull up, and Kelly Sims is step for step with Will Moore along the sideline, forces Doug Flutie to have to lead him even further than he wants to, and that leads him right out of bounds. Excellent defense so far by this BC squad.
An offensive touchdown, a defensive touchdown, and a field goal for Calgary. 3 Louis Pasaglia field goals for the Lions. And Martino drives Trevathan back. And the special teams does its job for the Stampeders. That's the final play of the third quarter. Larry Rickman's Stampeders are in tough at McMahon. Chris Cuthbert, Dan Kepley, Mark Lee, the CFL on CBC crew back at McMahon, getting set to start the fourth quarter. And it's an anxious Wally Buono pacing the sidelines because the BC Lions have regrouped under Dave Ritchie and this afternoon have given us a gutsy 3 quarters of football and are very much in this game with the ball to start the fourth quarter against the Wind down by 8.
Well, I think Dave Ritchie has probably just personally challenged everyone on that team to go out and be a man about something. You've gotten your butts kicked for the past 2 weeks, to rise up to occasion and play like a professional.
Robert Mims, first gain, and he has close to 6 yards. Check that, Sean Millington, the fullback, with the gain. Now, in the third quarter, there were 2 field goal drives by the Lions. One, 5 minutes, 12 seconds. The other, 4 minutes, 27 seconds. Kent Leonard with the hit, and Will Johnson there too.
Kent Leonard doing an excellent job of coming up there making a good solid tackle, because Millington goes at about 6'2", about 225, so he's a load when he comes through the hole.
And now they've got 6 receivers out. Barrett over the middle. Alexander has the catch, and Eaglin rides him down. And it'll be a first down for the Lions.
Alexander, number 88.
Terrific job at a BC offensive line. They kept waiting for Danny Barrett so he could wait and wait and wait for Ray Alexander to clear the zone. And he makes an excellent catch. He knows that Alonzo Johnson is sitting in the middle waiting for him. Johnson makes the hit, but he holds on to the ball.
At the Lions 50.
First down Lions at their own 50-yard line. And Barrett forced up the middle, and he'll get across the line of scrimmage and maybe get a couple as we check the stats through 45.
And Harold Hasselbeck got him.
265 yards passing for BC, just 123 for the Stampeders. The biggest surprise, time of possession, in fact, is Edge Lions, but still they're down by 8.
Second down and 8 BC at the Lions 52.
Calgary doing an excellent job. Good containment upfield, making Danny Barrett have to pull the ball down, get down inside.
Barrett under pressure from Zizakovic gets away. Hasselbeck picks up the chase, and Barrett hit by Big Daddy Marvin Pope. Great pursuit that time by the Calgary D.
Danny Barrett does an excellent job of getting away from Zizakovic right in the middle, but he's just not noted for his foot speed. And right at the last minute, actually Marvin Pope does even kind of hold up on him. He doesn't go through him like a real linebacker, middle linebacker, as far as head down and trying to take his head off. He just throws that big left shoulder into it and knocks Danny Barrett right on his can.
All those linebackers are compassionate types, aren't
they? They surely are. They're kind of big, sensitive kind of guys, you know?
12 and a half minutes to go, and Pasaglia to punt. Good kick by Pasaglia. Splits the return men, Wiggins and Crawford, but BC gives no yards.
It's a 49-yard punt for Lou Pasaglia into the wind. Brian Wiggins with a yard on.
Well, this is Grey Cup City for the 81st Grey Cup, and the banners abound in Calgary. All over the city, you can see them going up. Of course, anticipation rising. Who will represent the West in the 81st Grey Cup? They've also erected a huge tent city. There you see it here in Calgary on the main parking lot beside McMahon Stadium. 80,000 square feet inside that tent city for all kinds of festivities, fan fest, and here you see the young Canadians rehearsing for the great halftime show they've got planned. And here's the man who brought the Grey Cup to Calgary, Stampeder owner Larry Rickman. And can you update us on how plans are going, Larry?
Oh, Mark, it's going great. When we set out to do this, we wanted to make it the best ever, and that's exactly what's going to happen. We're not going to make Calgary proud, but we're going to make the whole CFL proud.
Best ever means having your own team, I'm sure, in the Grey Cup and leading 17-9 here in the fourth quarter. I'm sure you got to be a little bit nervous.
I'm very, very nervous, but you know, these guys have come out to play, and I can be nothing but confident.
What about a comment on the attendance? 15,407. Did the fans turn a cold shoulder?
I think they did. I think it sent a message loud and clear back that they weren't pleased with the playoff format, but we are expecting more for the Western Final.
Thanks for your time, Larry.
Thank you, Mark.
Larry Rickman, owner of the Calgary Stampeders. Chris?
That's if they get the Western Final. The BC Lions may have a lot to say about that in the last 11 minutes and 11 seconds of this game. It's a first down for the Stampeders at their own 25-yard line.
First and 10, Stampeders from the Calgary 25.
Andy McVeigh is the lone running back behind Doug Flutie. And he gets the handoff. Bounced off a couple of men and a great run by McVeigh. And he finds 8 up the middle. Ty Jones finally brought him down.
Andy McVeigh, the very outspoken workhorse inside. Incredible job blocking most of the time against very tough defensive ends, outside linebackers. But then when he does get an opportunity to carry the mail or even on a screen play, he is very successful and he is very productive and an integral part of this Calgary offense.
Talking about this being his final year, Tony Stewart has a first down and more. O.J. Brigance finished him off. We've seen more of the Calgary running game today than is the case normally, and they have been productive on the ground.
I don't know if that says a lot about Doug Flutie of just wanting to keep the clock running and hopefully get this game over with as quickly as possible. But as I said earlier, when you have a really attacking style defense, all you have to do is just break a seam, or in this case, break the initial point of contact and point of defense, and then you run right to the safety.
Well, Chris, the other Western semifinal in Edmonton is turning into a rout. We are late in the third quarter up there, and here's the latest highlight. Damon Allen having another fantastic football game late in this season. Here he throws deep 39 yards to the gizmo for a touchdown. With the convert, the Eskimos now lead the Rough Riders 44-13 late in the third.
Wow, as Ron Lancaster got those guys going. Tom Europe, the safety, shaken up on the last play after the hit on Stewart.
You can see the head goes down. The one thing that I've seen a number of times through the course of this season, guys making the tackle with their head down. If they get their eyes up where they see where they got their neck bowed, and they do not take that shot in the neck as far as the nerve areas.
Dave Ritchie has Michael Allen as his reserve safety, a guy that has played for Ritchie in Winnipeg and Ottawa as well. First down, Stampeders trying to put a drive together. Flutie unloads deep. He's got Derek Crawford and he can't hang on.
Derek Crawford wide open, got turned around and couldn't hold on to it.
Well, Crawford has complained in recent weeks that they haven't got him the football much in the second half of the season, and that time Crawford was wide open.
Even in a sense that Derek hasn't gotten the ball very much thrown to him, he is such a threat out there that the defenses do have to respect him. And when you close your eyes and go to sleep ever so slightly, this is what happens.
Second in combined yards in the CFL behind Gizmo, who we just saw score another Eskimo touchdown. Second and 10, big play for the Lions D. Flutie puts it up, looking for Will Moore, and he dropped the ball. And we have not seen the Stamps killer instinct in this second half, and Moore, not sure if he's shaken up or just wincing because he couldn't hang on.
Well, he stretched himself out, and when you do and you come down on this turf, and it's pretty hard out there, you make yourself fairly vulnerable, but you can see the effort that he's going to make to try to bring in this reception. Boom! That's pretty hard right there as he hit to go for it. Part of the thought is at the point that had he caught that ball, you know, when you're sitting down there, you're trying to think, all I needed to do was look this in a little harder, maybe it would have been there.
Martino again, his last punt with the wind was that booming 78-yarder. The rush was on, and there's contact, the kicker. Bouncing punt for Trevathan to field. He found a seam up to the 44-yard line, but Tony Martino was bumped, and he continues the discussion with Les Brown. Doug Hocking, the guilty party, or was he on this roughing the kicker?
Not a chance. You see, come right out of your screen, right there. His right hand barely touches Martino up around the shoulder. Martino wins an Academy Award, but it is very, very good because he drew the penalty. It's a crucial situation. Calgary maintains possession of the ball.
He was telling us last year his mom's his biggest fan and a big executive in the junior football program in BC. Maybe she's on the phone saying, son, that's okay, you'll get it back. First down, Calgary. Flutie gets another chance. Let's see what he can do with it under the gun, and he throws it downfield and has a completion to Brian Wiggins, but it's right at the line of scrimmage. In fact, it might be a loss on the play.
Doug Flutie.
Let's see where they spot the ball, but Flutie was forced way back before throwing that one downfield.
O.J. Brigance had a good angle, and Ty Jones came in also to try to see if they could contain Flutie. Then they got him running north and south or east and west. I'm still confused with my directions on this point, and Doug has to throw it away. Completes the pass, and maybe he was just trying to throw the ball away, but Wiggins went after him, made a reception, and they lose 4 yards.
Yep, 2nd and 14. Lions defense wants the ball back. Flutie throwing it, almost picked off by Les Brown. Waiting in the weeds.
Right at Les Brown.
Had a great chat with Doug yesterday about Brown and how he plays so unconventionally, and you always have to be aware of where he is because he can just kind of creep up on you like that.
Well, as you just said, he'll lay in the weeds. He'll let you throw the outs, and have success all day long. But at the last minute, he'll come by and pick one and take it off for 6 points going the other way. But I don't think in Les Brown's career, he'll never get another pass thrown as easy as that one would have been to pick off.
A leading interceptor in CFL history. He has 4 in the playoffs as well. Martino blasts the punt. Trevathan back inside his 10. Gets one block. Mike Trevathan up to the 30-yard line. That's where the Lions will scrimmage with 7 minutes, 48 seconds to go.
Number 56. With
Welcome back to Calgary, where a majestic evening sky covers McMahon Stadium here, where the Stampeders hold a 17-9 lead. The finalists in the East have been decided, a 21-10 win by Hamilton over Ottawa. That means the Ticats will meet the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the East final next Sunday. Chris?
Boy, if they could guarantee us this weather for the Grey Cup, we'd take it in a minute. Here's Barrett rolling over the head of Darren Flutie.
Barrett.
And it'll be 2nd and 10. 7:34 to go.
Second down.
Number 8 trails by 8 here in the 4th.
Very concerned look on Coach Dave Ritchie's face. His defense has really risen to the occasion today. Turned the ball over as many times as possible into Danny Barrett's hands without having to give up too many points. Now it's up to Danny Barrett. This is the kind of situation that he wanted to do. If he wanted the confrontation with Doug Flutie, he wanted to be the winner. Now he has a chance to show that he can be that.
2nd and 10. Pressure on. Barrett gets it away. It's a completion and a first down. Sean Millington out of the backfield moves the yardsticks. When we talked to Wally Bono yesterday, we asked what concerns you. He says they're veteran players. They've won 10 games this year. They're a better football team. than they've been the last couple of weeks.
That's right. They didn't lose. They didn't win 10 football games by fluke. They lost a couple in the end, and that does not constitute the season. Danny Barrett, at the last minute, just gets rid of that football, and he is down on the ground at the present time being looked at. Oh,
I believe it's Ian Sinclair, the center, and Jamie Terrace may have to come in to replace the Lions starting center. Ian Sinclair, we're going to take a look at what happened, and boy, this one.
Take a look at Danny Barrett and Ian Sinclair right there on the left of your screen, and his body weight comes right down on the back of Ian Sinclair's leg. He's walking off under his own power, so that looks pretty good. It is a good sign.
Remember the '85 Grey Cup winning team in BC and the captain of this Lions team. And so Jamie Terrace, a native of Acton, Ontario, and a University of Western Ontario product, who has been a starter in the past with this Lions team, comes in. It's 1st and 10, BC at their own 41. Alexander, the man in motion right side, and they dump it off to Millington, and Marvin Pope came up and made the big stick.
He's there. Big Daddy Marvin Pope does it all for the Calgary defense. Drops in the zone, and then the great acceleration. Danny Barrett just dumps the ball off quickly on that slip screen, but boom, right out of nowhere, Marvin Pope makes up a lot of ground, drops into his zone, recognized the play, the acceleration in, and makes a good solid tackle.
Second down, and call it 7, and look out, Barrett hit as he released, and they call that a live ball. BC got back on it, and there's an injured Lion, Will Johnson, shaken up.
62, Vic Stevenson.
Vic Stevenson got on the football for the Lions, and Barrett didn't see Johnson coming.
Will Johnson showing great speed, working around, just a speed rush outside of Vic Stevenson. Is able to hit Danny Barrett right in the back, right at the last minute.
13, Lou Pasaglia standing back at his own 25-yard line. Crawford and Wiggins
5:48 to go
to accept the kick.
McLennan now dropping back onside. Great kick by Pasaglia. Crawford over his shoulder with the catch at the 20, but now he's got room to run past Sock Allen, and now forced out. That time Pasaglia out-kicked the coverage, and O.J. Brigance had to make a saving play. 5:27 left.
For the Calgary Stampeders, defensive end Will Johnson came limping off the field. Now he's nursing an injured hamstring. Last weekend against the Eskimos, he pulled his right hamstring. He's been nursing it throughout this game, stretching it every chance he can get. You can see it's wrapped up underneath his pants. But Will Johnson right now working on his right hamstring, trying to stay loose and limber, because he's a man who's very important in containing Danny Barrett. Chris?
Mark, those clouds do look ominous in the background. Hope the weather will hold for the next couple of weeks here for the Grey Cup. Flutie in the flat to Dave Sapunjas. The Lions have done a pretty good job containing the All-Canadian slot back today. Under 5 minutes now left. And any fear of a blowout at windswept McMahon Stadium today was ill-founded.
So crucial right now for this BC defense, if they're going to stand a chance, is to turn this ball over somehow on downs or even an interception and get it back in the hands of Danny Barrett.
Flutie has it, first down at midfield. Sets up, throws again, back to Sapunjas, turns away from Greer, dives to the 40. Well, the old combination's back in business.
Just when you think it's safe to go back in the water again, doom, 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 they start to come out and arrive. Sapunjas, you haven't heard much of him, but then when you do, you've got to break down and make tackles. Those are BC defenders that are coming over really trying to lay the metal to Stampeders, not being very successful with it.
4 minutes to go. It's an 8-point Calgary lead, and Flutie trying to add to it. Tony Stewart, big hole left side, has a pickup of close to 12. Another Calgary first down at the BC 29 as Derek McCready is sent in from the Lions bench.
Tony Stewart showed great vision on that play. It was just a counter inside trap with Rocco Romano and Bruce Covington pulling from their left to the right. But at the last minute, as soon as he got the handoff, he broke it back against the grain all the way outside of the pursuit of the BC defense to the left. And it allowed him to pick up significant yardage.
Let's update you. Edmonton 44-13. They're headed to the Western Final again. And should Calgary hang on here, it'll be 4 straight years that the Western Final is the Battle of Alberta. Trying to pick up the number at the bottom of that pile. And I think it's Michael Allen who is the backup safety who's in there because Tom Europe was shaken up earlier. Kep, I think it's worth repeating that the BC Lions came into this game having given up 118 points in their last 2 games, having lost those 2 games by a combined total of 77 points, and here they are with 3:39 to go against the defending Grey Cup champions, trailing by just 8.
It certainly tells you about an attitude of a team and how when you get 38 guys on the same wavelength, what can happen. Let's go down to Mark.
Rickman say a little earlier in this half that he was nervous because this game was so close. I just talked to Dave Sapunjas before this series began, asked him if the players were tight, nervous. You know how players can be defensive when they're afraid of losing and not attacking and trying to win. He said this team's too confident to be worried about that. All we need is one more drive and we'll put this game away, and this might be that drive.
Well, they have been there, Kep. Remember last year's Western Final?
No,
you don't.
That's a great thing. I got to have, you don't know how hard I've worked to get Edmonton to play Calgary in Calgary for the Western Final. So this time I promised Calgary General Hospital, I'm not going to be there. I have all my plans. No, I don't remember
well,
that
let me update you because
Thank you.
Last year in the Western Final, they were down in the dying moments, and Flutie drove them 77 yards in the final couple of minutes. So at least in this case, they're up by 8.
Down, I'll show you down.
You were.
I was kind of down flat out on my.
Hey, but you came back too.
Oh yeah, no thanks to you when you came to the intensive care and tried to kill me by unplugging a few of those things.
I liked your brother's line. You were hooked up to more equipment than Guns N' Roses.
He looked at me and he said, you wouldn't believe it, but you had more equipment hooked up to you than Guns N' Roses on stage. I took that as a compliment.
Well, I hope you're going to be here for the Western Final or wherever it might be next week, because this one's not over yet. Lions down by 8 at McMahon Stadium. Calgary trying to put a lid on this one as they continue to work on Michael Allen. Got even Pat Clayton, the Calgary trainer, out to help out, and we'll find out what happened.
Take a look again now as Allen comes in to make the tackle. The first thing that he does, I just can't tell you, is his head is down again, and when he does, he has the momentum of Stewart coming in, also O.J. Brigance, both of those guys hitting him, and it creates some neck problems. And you just really hope that a player like this is young in his career, even an old player, that something doesn't happen seriously with a neck injury.
Oh, you can see his legs moving, and I think it's a positive sign that they actually lifted him there without the need to get that special brace in there. So apparently they think he is in a condition where they could move him like that, but they will take him to the dressing room for a closer examination, and we hope Michael is okay, a 6-year veteran in the Canadian Football League, former Blue Bomber and Ottawa Rough Rider, and Europe is back in at safety. We'll try to update update you on Allen's status with 3:39 to go. Edmonton on its way to the Western Final. Doug Flutie trying to confirm Calgary's reservation. 17-9, 1st and 10. Give to Stewart. Fumbles the football. BC says it has it. And the Lions have turned it over. And we could be in for a photo finish here. 3:16 left. Zach Allen has the ball.
What a crucial turnover at such a crucial situation of the game. The inside counter play, a very simple play that had worked very much for Tony Stewart. The ball just came out of his hands. He just lost the handle on it. Did not have it tucked around the nipple of the ball, tucked up underneath his arms, and then there it is. Ball comes out, big turnover, and even that, a bigger chance for the BC Lions.
Down to 3 minutes to go. Danny Barrett in the flat has Millington. Cuts it back and tries to get to the 34. He's close to a first down. Well, we're in for quite a finish at McMahon Stadium. Don't go away.
52 to go in the game, and the Lions trail the Stampeders 17-9. An update now on the injury status of Lions Michael Allen. Calgary trainer Pat Clayton told me he took a tremendous impact in his rib cage, and there is pain shooting down his leg. They've taken him to the University of Calgary Sports Medicine Center for observation. Chris?
It's a first down for the Lions now. Danny Barrett, 299 yards passing so far, looking for more. Robert Mims stretched out, couldn't reach it at the Calgary 48-yard line. The line on Barrett, 21 of 36, 299 yards, 2 interceptions.
Danny would just love to have just a little piece of this back because he's got the matchup, the out and up to Mims, one-on-one against Finley. It's right there. He's got 2 or 3 steps on Matt.
What has haunted him the last couple of years is Doug Flutie, and he can end all that with a win here this afternoon. But he needs to come from behind, in trouble, going deep, looking for Trevathan, and it falls short. Trevathan was open, and Barrett couldn't get him the ball. And Trevathan shows his frustration.
Danny Barrett had to throw that ball out of panic. He was running and scrambling. Zizakovic was up in his face, chasing it from behind again. And then when Danny was able to see Trevathan downfield, he just rifled it up. You can see just in Larry Rickman's hair how that wind is blowing down there. And once that ball got up in the air like that, it looked just like a wounded duck trying to get to Trevathan's hands.
You're suggesting Larry's hair doesn't usually move that much?
No, I'm just saying that you can just see it moving. Just be observant. It's right there.
Okay.
If it wasn't moving, and he's got that spray that you use on yours.
That heavy cement. 2:34 to go now, and Pisaglia will have to punt on 3rd down, and we've got a timeout on the field. Here's a look at the general manager of the BC Lions, Eric Tillman. He said, you know, I want to win this football game, but he said, I'll be proud of my guys if they respond by playing tough and being close today, and he's got that and a whole lot more.
Very soft prevent type defense for Calgary, just looking to make sure that Calgary doesn't do any kind of fakes.
Crawford. No, he gives way to Wiggins, and Wiggins is hauled down at the 43-yard line. 2:24 to go. Calgary and Doug Flutie up by 8, but not a safe cushion yet. Boy, another week where Flutie's numbers have been kept down to un-Flutie-like proportions.
And I think that is the case, un-Flutie-like, as opposed he set such a precedent with incredible numbers for so long. Very similar like Wayne Gretzky playing hockey. After you score 4 or 5 points a game, you have a 2-point game, they go, what's the matter with you?
Here's Andy McVeigh and a couple perhaps. I guess the difference, though, Barrett has twice as many yards passing, but Flutie has 1 in the end zone. as the offense meets with Joe Pow, planning what they hope will be another chance to drive for a tying touchdown. Today, Flutie and the Stampeders have done it along the ground, 167 yards rushing against the Lions.
Here's a bigger play than anything that Joe Pow was talking about on the sideline.
2nd and 8, play action. Flutie forced back inside, and down he goes after a gain of just 2. And once again, Calgary has to give up the ball to BC.
Terrific play by Ty Jones that time. Got upfield and made Doug Flutie have to pull the ball down, cut back inside. There he is, and then the pursuit is there. It looks like O.J. Bergance fell on top of Doug Flutie just to make sure he's down. Excellent job by Ty.
Trevathan and Les Brown are deep. Clock running with under 2 to go in regulation time. BC trailing by a touchdown and a 2-point convert. Martino drops the ball and just gets it away. Trevathan on the first hop and downfield. A good job by the Stampeders punt return team again. Greg Frere's leading the way, and he led Calgary special teams and tackles all season long.
Well, whoever wins this football game, they're going to have their hands full with Edmonton. They score again. It's Brian Walling taking the handoff, plunging 18 yards off tackle for another Eskimo touchdown. It's no contest, 51-13 Edmonton in the 4th quarter in Edmonton.
Kep, that's an astonishing score. A lot of people felt if any team could unseat Calgary as champions this year, it would be Saskatchewan. But now Edmonton has to be considered a team that could do that. Will they play Calgary, though? BC still has 1:24 to get back on even terms. Darren Flutie with another catch, and what an afternoon he has had for Dave Ritchie.
Darren does anything, just reads the zone, falls out to the outside. The main thing took place, not that he made the catch, but that Danny Barrett had the arm strength to get that ball out there with such precision.
Doug Flutie 150 yards passing. Darren has 126 yards catching the ball. Barrett 2nd down, and he's going deep, looking for Trevathan, and he dropped the ball. Mike Trevathan, they're going to give it to him, yes.
They're going to give it to him, said he made the catch, he was down, and the ball came out.
Apparently they feel that it was a catch and the ground made him fumble it. It's a 39-yard reception, and the Lions have the ball at the Calgary 53.
Score it. 1 call for Calgary, 1 call for BC.
Yeah, let's have another look.
Here he comes, plenty of time. Sprint out, post corner route. Take a good look, the catch is there.
Okay.
And possession, long enough.
That's the same play he was open on last series, and Barrett couldn't get it to him. So they found something to spring Trevathan loose. First down. Barrett going deep for Alexander, and he can't bring it in. Ray was trying to keep that 1 foot in play, and the ball was just overthrown. But with 57 seconds to go, they're playing 3-down football in Calgary territory.
Danny Barrett had his mind up that he was going to Alexander no matter what. Robert Mims was running straight down the seam as he had gotten by Matt Finley. Danny Barrett just didn't have an opportunity to take a look at him.
And in BC, they're starting to edge up on the edge of their seats because the Lions are making this interesting. Here's the dump pass, Millington, and he's tripped up by Alondra Johnson. Johnson doesn't make that play. Millington has a first down and a lot more.
You cannot give enough credit to Alondra Johnson on what he means to this Calgary defense. He is so involved in both the run, the pass, the leadership of this defense and this team in particular. Jamie Terrace tries to make a good play on the ball, didn't get a chance.
Here it is, kept 3rd and 5, 40 seconds to go. Last gasp for BC. 4 receivers left. Short drop, Barrett, Alexander, it's overthrown. And the fireworks go off because it's Calgary football with 32 seconds left.
just didn't see that play selection being called at that time. Again, I'm not out there. As Danny has been seen and seen what's open to him out there. But that quick slam pattern, we haven't seen very much of it all game long. And then finally they go to it in the most crucial situation.
They needed 5 and couldn't get it done. And now Calgary just has to kill the clock and get set for Edmonton. Flutie on a roll, and Ty Jones trying to bear down on him. There's the hook slide, and he's safe at the 49 with 26 seconds to go.
It's going to be run all the way. You can expect that Doug Flutie's not even going to take a chance of handing that ball off again. He knows if he takes the snap, all he has to do is get the snap, tuck it underneath, and just follow some blockers. When it starts to feel the heat, take the hook slide, get down.
Lions are going to stop the clock, though, with 26 seconds left. Well, Dave Ritchie, those long nights till 4 in the morning paid dividends today, win or lose.
Love you, Amy.
But he's a coach, and his first thing is he comes to this game to win, not just to be respectable.
No wonder.
And he gathered a lot of respect, both of this team today and for this team.
Wally Buono respected Ritchie's abilities, and he knew this was going to be a tough afternoon, and no wonder Calgary didn't want to play this game. It has been quite a fight. Here's Zach Allen on the blitz. They're trying to get Flutie as deep as they can, and he's down at the 35. 21 seconds left, so BC's going to get the ball back for at least a punt return. They can't just let the clock run out here. Veteran Vic Stevenson.
Once the clock starts, they'll probably, if they have to, they'll take the penalty.
And then down the ball?
And then...
No, they can't on the 3rd down. Going to take it right down and then put the knee down when time's run out. And it's over. And the Calgary Stampeders, the defending Grey Cup champions, have had a scare, but they are headed to the Western Final, where Wally Buono will tangle with the Edmonton Eskimos for the 4th consecutive year. Fireworks and a sigh of relief, and two great friends embracing at center field.
Great mutual respect between the two guys we just saw embracing at the head field. Wally has got a lot of compassion for his players, but also, more importantly, for other coaches and other players.
And I think a newfound respect between these two teams. The last time they left the field back in September, they were the brothers, and they both had great afternoons. But the last time these two teams left the field, they had to be separated. Gutsy day for Danny Barrett. He put up the big numbers, but couldn't get it into the end zone.
You saw Danny Barrett shaking hands with both Coach John Huffnagel and George Cortez, the offensive line coach, guys that he worked very closely with.
That's a great scene.
And that smile, you know, it really is. With the troubles from a personal point of view that Danny Barrett has gone through, from some of the professional things he's gone through, he is truly a class act.
Barrett outgunned Flutie in 1991 on this field. Today, Flutie had it, and we're going to join Mark Lee.
Chris, we're standing by with Doug Flutie. Doug, 17-9 Augusta game. You must have felt like you dodged a bullet.
We were just trying to protect the ball the majority of the game, going into the win, and then with the win in the second quarter, we went after it a little bit. In the fourth quarter, we were just trying to protect the ball and hold on.
You know, we're accustomed to you throwing for 400 yards a game. I think you got about 150 in this game. Was it the wind?
It was the wind, and it was the style of the game. I was trying to run the ball a little bit more into the wind, trying to just work the clock. We only had the second quarter to throw the ball. In the fourth quarter, we were just trying to hold on to a lead. So the 2 quarters we had with the wind, we only threw the ball for one of them.
We just had a look at the pass to Will Moore, and we're having a look at it now on the monitor. Tell us about that play. It was a great scramble, yeah.
Basically, it was a scramble. I forget what the original... I probably had Sponge on a corner route originally, and I couldn't see him. So I looked backside to Will, and he wasn't open, so then I just started scrambling, ran around a little bit, and Will broke open.
You took a few good hits today.
Yeah, I was trying to be a little more aggressive running with the football, and you're going to take those shots, but there's no tomorrow. There's no holding back.
Latest score we have from Edmonton, the Eskimos 51, Saskatchewan 13 in the fourth quarter. What kind of a signal does that send?
Well, looking forward to playing them again and get them on this field, and let's go at it.
Big rematch of that 22-20 dramatic win last year right here.
Yeah, we'll take it. We're just thankful to be into the final now and got this game over with and this lineup in play.
Good thing the game's over now. This wind, I think, is feeling like it's 100K an hour.
Hey, see, out on the sideline, it doesn't feel bad. Yeah. You get out in the center of the field, and you can't throw the ball down. Danny Barrett made two great throws into the wind that were just tremendous throws.
Picking me up off my feet. Thanks for your time, Doug.
Okay, thank you.
Doug Flutie of the Stampeders. They narrow one here, defeating the BC Lions 17-9. They move on to the Western Final 1 week from today.